Hello, leader. Today we are talking about an unfortunate, common problem in small businesses, fraud. I'm here to help you get out in front of this by doing a better job of interviewing to uncover if a new hire leans towards the unethical or whether they lean towards doing the right thing. So before you hand over the keys to your business, literally and figuratively, listen in to today's show. I'm sharing interview questions that uncover character flaws before they cost you thousands. If you've ever been burned by a team member who lied, stole, or took advantage of your trust, or the trust of their coworkers, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Stacking Your Team podcast, smart leadership for women who mean business. I'm Shelli Warren, your team and leadership coach, and your no-fluff guide to building a powerhouse team that actually gets the job done without you holding their hand every 5 minutes. You're not just a business owner, you're the leader now, and I'll help you step up, lead smart, and stop micromanaging. Stick with me and you'll learn how to hire, fire, and inspire a team you lead with confidence and finally get your night and weekends back. And here's the hard truth. The team that got you here may not be the team that gets you there. So let's trade burnout for bold leadership and stack your team. You already know the cost of a bad hire isn't just financial. It's emotional, it's relational, and it slows your growth. Maybe you've already had someone fudge their hours, steal supplies, misuse a credit card, or take your delivery van on a personal joyride. And maybe you've told yourself, I should have seen that coming. Well, you can, and it starts with asking better questions during the interview. Let's fix this problem with smart, sometimes uncomfortable interview questions designed to reveal someone's integrity or lack thereof. We'll talk about why these questions work, how to interpret their answers, and the red flags that you should never ignore. You're going to walk away ready to interview like a leader, one who's protecting your people, your profit, and your peace of mind. This episode is powered by the Leadership Lab, my high-touch small group coaching program for women who own an established business with a team of 5 or more and who want to get out of the day-to-day operations so they can focus more on business development. So if you own a firm, agency, studio, clinic, spa, shop, private practice, center, academy, or collective, either brick and mortar or online service-based business, you're invited to seriously consider joining the Leadership Lab. Every member owns an established business, and if you're wondering, this is not a course. It's time to get out of the daily operations, breathe deeper, and build a team you trust and who are capable of delivering what your clients expect. Let's talk about why integrity questions matter more than ever. Have you noticed that these days, doing the wrong thing isn't just overlooked, it's often excused? You can see it in politics, at school, at home, and in the workplace. In a small business, that kind of unchecked behavior doesn't just slip under the radar, it chips away at trust, drains resources, and can wreck a team faster than you can think. You pay the price in trust, in time, in team morale, and sometimes in cold, hard cash. Some of my clients have experienced the gut punch that comes along with finding out that their team member can no longer be trusted, and it hurts. Some of them have had a team member's lack of integrity cost a couple $100. Others, thousands. Sometimes it's time that was stolen by padding their hours. For others, it was inventory or equipment being taken or borrowed for personal use. For others, it was credit card or points or loyalty program misuse. And then there's the common working from home claim when the person is actually at a hair salon or sporting event. And let's not forget this ever-growing problem of someone manipulating the business owner by acting entitled to benefits or perks without earning them. And here's a fact. According to the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, small businesses lose twice as much per fraud scheme as large businesses. Why is that happening? Well, here's a few reasons. In your small business, you likely don't have formal systems for checks and balances because it's common for one person to handle multiple financial tasks like invoicing, payroll, and purchasing, which makes it easier to manipulate or conceal fraudulent activity. Here's another common scenario. The same team member opens the mail, processes payments, and reconciles the bank account. Now, in a larger company, those tasks would be split across departments to reduce risk. So it's that lack of internal controls that are making it easy for people to make bad decisions. Here's another reason why this is happening. As a small business owner, you pride yourself on creating a tight-knit, trusting team culture. Many of you actually say, "We're family here." But that trust can turn into vulnerability when there's no verification processes. Team members can take advantage of being treated like family in many ways through their sense of entitlement or thinking, well, it's not a big deal. She'd be okay with it. So it's that high trust, low oversight that's making it super easy to develop an incredible sense of entitlement across your team. Another reason why this is a bigger hurt in small businesses is that large companies invest in fraud prevention tools, auditors, and compliance teams. Small businesses often skip this due to the cost, leaving them exposed and less likely to detect fraud quickly. So bad behavior can go on for a long time before anyone notices or even a trend is noticed. And small businesses can skip through those background checks or structured onboarding, which means character red flags might get missed entirely. Now, you've heard me mention here on the podcast all the time that the reference check step in the hiring process is undeniably important. But too often, it's skipped, which leads us to this. Hiring based on gut instinct, well, is just not enough. And I know you often feel rushed to fill the role, and you over-trust the resume, which is why I'm such a fan of the paid trial and the paid project as proof of the candidate's capabilities. But focusing strictly on skills and experience won't cut it either. We've got to get better at uncovering character. So let's get to the interview questions that reveal someone's character. How they answer will uncover the liars and shine a light on the leaders too. The first question I want to encourage you to use during your next interview is this one. Tell me about a time you made a mistake at work, and what did you do about it? Now, you're going to listen for them to take full ownership of the mistake, not shift the blame to anyone else. You want to look for accountability of the severity of the mistake and was there any ripple effect. You especially want to hear if they informed their leader or was the mistake uncovered by someone else. You'll also want to hear about what happened next in this scenario. Were they fired, demoted, put on suspension, or put on a performance improvement plan? And did they have to make restitution? So get the full story. Here's the second question. Have you ever witnessed someone doing something unethical at work? What did you do? Now, the key here is to listen for them to understand that integrity isn't passive. Did they act or did they ignore it? You want to hear if they confronted the person first and if they tried to coax the person to stop and do the right thing, and why it matters. And did they simply take note of the situation, maybe gave them a pass and chalked it up to, well, it's probably just a one-time thing? Or did they admit that they never truly trusted the person ever again, yet they still didn't think it was their role to confront the person? So did they run and tell the boss and leave it up to them to handle? Find out. Get the full story. Here's the third interview question that you can use to uncover character. How do you handle tracking your hours or staying productive when no one's watching? Now, this is a good one because you're wanting to hear that they learned the proper use of the time tracking tool and then consistently followed through on it. Now, if you're hearing comments like, I don't use the time tracker, or we're not expected to track our time, this could be true. So dive into follow-up questions about how they stay productive at work. Listen to hear if they're making statements like, well, sometimes I track my time by this, and other times I track it with this. You want to hear about consistency, not vague generalities. Here's the next one. What's your approach when using company tools or resources? Now, when they answer this one, you want to listen for a list of things they use every day in their work. Do they take tools or resources home? Do they travel with them? Do they know the standards or policies about how to use these assets? Essentially, you're wanting to hear if they see a difference between use and abuse. Often, I'll ask about whether or not they've ever broken or lost a company asset, and I have them tell me that full story. Back in my corporate career, I had team members who lost their laptops on planes, in hotel rooms, or even at vendor offices. I've also had team members who broke their devices, albeit unintentionally. My IT department often rolled their eyes at me because I would pop off keys from my laptops. Now, remember, this was way back in the day when components of laptops were not very robust. I still have long nails, and I've never popped off a key from a keyboard in years. A testament to the improvements made by the manufacturer. Okay, we're on a roll. Here are 2 more questions to choose from when you're interviewing for character. If your last boss were here, what would they say you were most trusted with? This is a juicy question because it will also shine the light on what kind of a relationship they had or have with their most recent leader. A real 2-for-1 shot on this question. You're listening for stories about how their leader delegated high-impact tasks and ownership areas to them. They may tell you that they had a company credit card, a company vehicle, access to bank accounts, inventory, or an actual key to the workplace. They may also stumble on this question because they were not given anything that required a high level of trust at all. And that's very telling too. Here's another one. What's something that would tempt you to cut corners? And how do you prevent that? Another juicy question. Now, you're listening for honest self-awareness about how something can be tempting, but they've been able to uphold their boundaries and values, even though it may be hard, especially early on in their career, or at a time when they were crushed by debt or other challenges. Admitting these feelings is better than a perfect-sounding lie. Now, it's true that sometimes people will borrow stationery items from work to help with their kids' project that night, thinking it's not a big deal because the inventory in the cabinet is always replenished. But in reality, stealing or borrowing something seemingly low cost can escalate to cheating on an expense report or time tracker. Asking these questions during an interview is a red flag for the candidate. Let me tell you why. Once you start asking these kind of questions, they will immediately know, oh, jeepers, she's had issues with this before. Her eyes are open and she's on it. This is definitely a deterrent for someone who has these tendencies. So do you think you'll use these questions at your next interview? You will if you've ever been duped by a team member. With any of my clients who have, they all feel the same way afterwards. They make it a must to add to their interviewing process to ask deeper questions about character and integrity, even for seasonal or part-time or remote team members. They also never again skip the reference checks. They'll lean into a paid trial or a paid project, and they often will add a trust test to their initial onboarding tasks early, and then they'll add another one about maybe a month or so later, simply to confirm that they've made a great decision welcoming this new person to their team. Thanks for tuning into the Stacking Your Team podcast, Smart Leadership for Women Who Mean Business. If today's episode helped you see your leadership in a new way, I'd love to hear about it. Come connect with me on Instagram, where I'm at Stacking Your Team, and tell me what's troubling you about your team right now. And one last reminder that you can apply to join the Leadership Lab from the Stacking Your Team website. We're welcoming new members right now. So if you own a firm, agency, studio, clinic, spa, shop, private practice, an academy, whether it's brick and mortar or an online service-based business, consider seriously joining the Leadership Lab. Every member owns an established business, and this is not a course. It's time to get out of the daily operations, breathe deeper, and build a team you trust, who are capable of delivering what your clients expect. I can't wait to meet you.